Maybe some of you don't understand why it is that I keep covering this cult over and over and over again. The thing is that they do have a 5D university. Here's a channel here, as you can see. It has 245 subscribers. So that means there's 245 people that like these people's fucking videos. I don't think that they're all trolls like me, guys. I just don't. The other thing is that they're selling these seminars. Ascension Protocols Seminar. This 3-part seminar will focus on the 9 protocols of Ascension preparation. Gotta prepare. These protocols were downloaded from the Galactics as the first waivers, preparedness protocols for these incoming energies and transition. This one's closed, but they sell it for $33. $33 fucking dollars, this thing. It says this 3-part seminar will focus on the 9 protocols of Ascension preparation. These protocols were downloaded from the Galactics as the first wave preparedness protocols for these incoming energies in transition. Each of those protocols will include healing tools and techniques, spiritual disciplines, angelic connection and intuition training protocols, service to other protocols, as well as guidance for mastering your environment both internally and externally. What is most important for first waivers is energetic and spiritual preparation. The goals of these protocols is to provide tools and structure for all first waivers so that we may stay centered and grounded throughout these transitions, as many will be called to assist others through this process. We go through the 3 seminars, and it says each part of the seminar will cover the various protocols, as well as the guidance tools, plus techniques for the protocol. Each seminar will also provide written guides for all participants to download and utilize throughout their process. Each seminar will be recorded for those that cannot attend live. Yay! But my main problem with this whole thing is that if you go online right now and you type in 5D Ascension and you do a Google search on it, it is fucking everywhere. There are all types of people that believe in this. It is not all the 5D full disclosure cult. And it's been going on for a couple of years now. What is the 5D Earth and how do you get there? Awake and align. The 7 sides are entering the 5th dimension. No, you are not going crazy. It's part of Ascension. That rhyme. Since it's a new age thing to do, I need to speak out about it. Kind of like my thing, you know, I speak out about the new age things. Anyway, roll that intro. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today? I hope that you're all doing very, very, very well. First and foremost, I want to apologize for having to move the stream so many times. The last couple days, we were waiting for furniture to be delivered, maintenance stuff, family stuff, blah, 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 blah. But I am here. We are finally doing it. And today, we are going to be talking about the good old 5D full disclosure cult, those that are maybe not 100% familiar. I don't know how you got here, but welcome. Welcome. I've been covering this cult for a couple of years now, ever since the leader of the cult, Amy Carlson, was found mummified in their house, their compound house. And that was a really big thing when it happened. And then people started to write me to tell me that it was still continuing on, and it has split into two cults: Joy Reigns, which I have also covered a lot on my channel, and 5D Full Disclosure. Now, the thing about 5D Full Disclosure is that it is more organized, if you will, and uses most of the same materials that Love Has Won used when Amy Carlson was around. It holds all of the same belief systems. Joy Reigns still believes most of the same stuff too. It's just that they had a little breakup, if you will. And for the last month here on my channel, once a week, we've been reading their Ascension guide, their main one. They have a few different ones, and we're going to be reading just a small little piece from one today. But don't worry, because then after that, we're going to be reacting to an actual video in which they're going to explain it to us further. The book we read was kind of like the general ground information that you would need in order to kind of like learn about this, like, and that's how they promote it too on their website. 5D University is like kind of like their school for their cult, and they do teach, and I put that in quotations at it. And even when they promote this book to the people that are going to the university or that full on join this thing, they say, you know, this is the book you should read to really get and understand how our cult believes in this and what it is, because it also talks about, you know, the creation and mother of all creation, which is just Amy Carlson. So today we're going to be reacting to a video that they have put together to explain this to their university students. I want to react to this video because it is a newer version, so it is more 5D Full Disclosure than Love Has Won. And lately, and since I've been covering this thing, we've more so dove into the Love Has Won aspect of all this. The 5D University is relatively new, just over the last couple of years. It's kind of popped up, and it is run by the people who were kind of at the top of this cult back when Amy Carlson was still alive. So we're going to see some familiar faces if you're familiar with this cult at all. When it was Love Has Won especially, you're going to see face today and you're going to be like, hey, I remember that, bitch. Hello, Redemption Cycle. Good to see you. I hope you're having a good day. Hello, Joe. I'm glad you could be here. Thomas says protocol for Ascension. Number 1, find a ladder. Number 2, climb it. And then number 3, jump off because you must be nuts. I added the last one. He didn't say that. I did. Cancel me for the unaliving statements. Good afternoon, Kendall. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I feel like even though I had to move the stream a lot, this might be a better time for me because, you know, now I can take 4 hours if I need to. Am I missing anyone? I don't think so. If I did, you can yell at me in a moment. Yeah, well, the funny thing is that Joy Reigns is run by Jason Castillo, who was Father God and dating Amy. So, I mean, there could have been, like, some of that. They, like I said, they kind of had, like, communal sex in that house. It's come out. They were semi-open about it when they were, like, streaming all the time and being dumb and, like, drunk and on shrooms on live streams. Like, that was a real thing that happened on this platform. They would come on, like, drunk and on shrooms, and they would stream about all of this, like, new age hoopla stuff. And yeah, he was there and she was there and they shared, so maybe you know, who knows? Maybe that was part of the problem. Maybe he dated one of the other girls after Amy passed on and then they did break up. I couldn't really tell you. I didn't dive too much into that drama because, to tell you the truth, it's what matters the least in this story. It didn't have anything to do with the belief system. Hello, AE3, good to see you. If it was like them arguing about the core beliefs of this cult in any way and then splitting up, I would have maybe covered it. But it seems to be just petty, nonsensical, silly drama stuff that I feel like would confuse the fuck out of me and everyone else to like start dragging it into the story. We haven't even broken down the belief system yet. We just don't need to get into all that. It has nothing to really do with the story. It's just kind of like they had interpersonal issues and the cult broke it up into two. That's all you really need to know. So, they touched on planetary ascension and all of this kind of slightly in the book that we read. But there's another book. Remember I told you there's lots of books about ascension? Well, there's another ascension guide that's kind of like the short version of the one that we went through that took us a month. And there's a little blurb in it that talks about planetary ascension. So I just want to share it with you. Oh, good. This is working. All right. Last time I tried to do it like this, it didn't work. So I was a little nervous. So they say, because right now we're on our first planetary ascension, apparently, right? Going from Earth to wherever we're going. We're going to get into it. That's the first one. So the first planetary ascension. We are living in the time of the first planetary ascension of Earth as mother of all creation, completed, raising the consciousness of the planet and humanity. Mother anchored in higher and higher consciousness, which, I mean, like, it's kind of funny to think that there's different hierarchies of levels of consciousness. Like, aren't you either conscious or you're not? Like, I don't know. Like, how much more higher could she be if she was the creator of all of everything? You know, she was God. Anyway, I guess that's beyond the point. A phenomenal process we witnessed every day. Like, we'll take your word for it. We saw it too, but we were on the other side of the screen, wondering why they kept taking shrooms and drinking and streaming, you know. Resulting in all of humanity feeling the squeeze, which that doesn't sound very fun, or it could be a hug, in which case then it's not that bad. I guess it depends on how you look at it. We are energy, we are one, and therefore it is impossible not to be affected. So this affects all of us, even if we don't believe in it or want it to. Earth was a voluntary journey of amnesia to find your way back to source, back to divinity, and sources on earth handing you the key to your shackles. Because, you know, now I guess you'd be in prison. We all agreed by contract to come to earth and be in every moment the greatest, grandest version of ourselves. And I'm kind of like, I don't remember signing anything. You know, I feel like this is a lot like Ash Mufara's NDA or Onision's NDA, Realstream News' NDA. You know, like, it's just has no legality behind it, this contract. All right. And also, isn't it kind of grimy to make someone sign a contract and then give them amnesia? I would at least like to have remembered signing the contract, because could I have kept that memory? You know, I feel like that's a bit grimy. Like, I'm just supposed to believe you that I signed this thing. Do we not know me? I'm not trusting anybody. You better show me my damn signature on that paper, and I better remember it. Otherwise, it's coming into question. So that's iffy. I always wonder about that part. Like, that doesn't sound legally binding to me. Could you imagine being in contract court and like a lawyer and being like, well, Your Honor, the reason why the defendant doesn't remember signing the contract is we gave them amnesia. Like, but why? You know? We were chosen as the best of the best in all of creation to come down for this mission. The ego, programmed mind, the deep conditioning has meant we have all been everything but the greatest, grandest version of ourselves. This Ascension guide gives you vital information needed to transform yourself into your greatest, grandest version and vision your true essence. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll believe you. Mother and Father of all creation, forgive everything if asked. The past does not define you, only your present moment of now choice. What does that mean? I don't fucking know. I read that like 5 times. Only your present moment of now choice. I was like, yeah, no, I don't get it. You can always let it all go and begin again. Every moment. I'm like, okay, that was the weirdest way to word that anyone could have ever in the history of the world. Send direct healing and supportive energies and prayers towards them. And I'm like, towards who? Like, aren't I the one down here on this mission on Earth? You know? Mother Earth, are we assuming gender? Well, see, and it's funny you bring up gender because that's kind of half of the joke that I make. Because Amy didn't really keep in her gender of being female. Like, she's claimed to have come back as Joan of Arc, Cleopatra, Marilyn Monroe, right? But then also Jesus, who would be a man. And then she had this whole thing about how she was God and how she was like a woman, like, and so God was a woman and it's Mother Earth. So everything is from a woman. And it's like, that's fine and dandy, but then how did you come back as Jesus, So who knows? Who knows? Maybe Jesus was trans or non-binary. No one ever thinks that. I'm just saying. So they say send direct healing and supportive energies and prayers towards them. I don't know who, because again, I'm the one in this mission. So I guess my mission is to send these vibes, support them energetically as they mold the energies on Earth into heaven. And I'm like, okay, so then we are talking about the mission? Because that's technically the mission. So now I don't know if we're talking about me and what I'm supposed to be doing for the Ascension as the reader, right? And like the person that's taking this lesson from 5D University or from 5D Dimension, like the cult, And I'm very confused. And this is the main thing I think I hate about the way that they write this, is they kind of do that a lot. Where it will be in like first person, then third person. They'll be saying you, and then they're like, but help them. And I'm like, well, wait, who's them? Like, the final event will bring the inevitable end of pain and suffering. And I'm like, is that because we die? The final release to all lower vibration energy from the earth plane. This is being done organically by the entry of the higher consciousness energies. Just as a match lit in a cave forces all of the darkness to the edges and corners. I'm like, this is a weird analogy. When was the last time you lit a match in a cave? I know Jason Castillo did it quite often while he was on the run from the police, but most of us have not ever done that. I have, because I used to go camping. I have once in my entire life done this. So I'm like, this is not something that people do. This is a weird fucking analogy. Seems completely out of time. Something you would say in the caveman days, The incoming light energy is smoking out all the negative, low vibration energy that resides within all of humanity. It is our choice how we respond to this. Those within extensive amounts of density will have to choose to heal and embrace love in every moment. Extensive choices to act from fear, which is false evidence appearing real, not the feeling you get, like scared, will result in beings getting sick and transitioning during this time. And I'm like, is that why everyone's transitioning in Gen Z? Is that what's going on? Maybe not. All physical pain and suffering, all illness is a symptom of low vibration. Negative energy, like way to tell somebody it's their own fault they got sick. You have AIDS and cancer, that's your fault. You have low vibration. Negative energy residing in that area. Like, they actually do believe that. So, like, if you have a stomach ache, your negative energy's in your stomach. Pain and illness have always been your body's attempts to inform you of dense energetics in that area. Energetics, huh? The medical system provides a complete runaround. All of it's completely redundant, designed to keep us sick and away from our true essence. It also blocks us from healing ourselves with assistance from Mother Earth. So see, it's, again, anti-Western medicine, right? Like, they don't believe in going to the doctors because they don't really believe any illness is an actual illness. Like, they'll call it by its name, like cancer, AIDS. They've used autism several times, things like this, but to them, it's all just negative energy. Like, mental health is just negative energy in your brain, but then so is a headache. So that's not good, you know? I don't think you should use the same thing to cure those two ailments. It might not work. So to them, they're just like, yeah, fuck medicine. The ascension does require beings to ascend themselves into divine vibration. This begins within you. We choose you. Getting a little Uncle Sam on us. This is what we agreed to do by divine contract. That is why we are here. And once again, I'm like, again, I don't remember signing anything. I choose to no longer consent to this. Mother of all creation. Now this part here, like, starts off as if we're praying. And again, they do this a lot. They have to, like, color 4 different things every time. Mother of all creation, prime creator, source, all the same thing, was incarnated on the planet. Again, it's Amy Carlson. She is God. She created all life within the universe. This was done with Father of all creation, who was Jason Castillo, but he runs the other cult now, so it's not him anymore. And Father of the multiverse, who were made from Mother's essence as divine love mirrors. And this is, again, it goes back to how she's a woman, so she made all of humanity. Her auric field is heaven. Heaven consciousness. Christ consciousness. Unity consciousness. Mother of all creation was born within the ego, which now we don't have the periods, so now it just actually does say ego. Programmed mind, as she discovered how to bypass the programming within the brain. Your mind and your brain are two different things. From the moment she was born, she had full angel and galactic connection. Now, this is funny they say that, because if you guys remember, in the book that we just got done reading, she claimed that when she first came here, like, she had no clue. And she had to, like, learn it all. And now they're acting like she was given it from birth. And that's not how it was originally described. So this is when you're going to start to see that things aren't coinciding. Like, it makes no sense. It starts to contradict. Like, what's in this book will contradict what's in the book we just read. And what's in the video slightly contradicts all of it. You know what I mean? Which is part of how you can also tell it's bullshit, because the story changes. Because now it's being presented as if when she was born, she knew what she was here for. Right? And like already had all these magical powers and was all knowing and all this great stuff, you know? Right? She already had the consciousness. All 10 different kinds they listed. But the way it was described to us in the book we just read, it was this whole journey in her life, remember? She didn't really realize she had it until she was like leaving her family to go and do the cult. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm like, well, wait, which one is it? That's kind of worrisome to me. Cancer, AIDS? Yes, don't get that. That's what Jim has. My daddy Jim is Jim Brownlee. Mother Earth is going to fix red beards in my back? Possibly, yeah. Kendall says, I keep hearing vibrational energy from different types of people and communities. They don't say anything about cycle spur, second, HC, or anything like that. So I just ignore it. It's funny you say that, because as I said at the beginning of this, which I don't know if you were here for my little intro, like all of the 5D like belief systems, and there's several, and they're all kind of based off the same sort of thing. Like this cult believes what a lot of the Gen Z TikTokers who are talking about Ascension believe in. Just some of those TikTokers might not be a part of this cult or even know much about it, other than their favorite YouTuber might have brought it up. You get what I'm saying? So like, although it's not connected, it still is. Because it's like this cult took that belief that you can like have all these different dimensions you can live in, which if you guys kind of think back, you might remember it's been sort of something that people have been talking about out here for a couple of years, that people have been claiming over on TikTok and stuff. It's kind of like the new age thing to like have different dimensions. And there was a time when a bunch of people, commentary creators out here, were talking about people saying that they like traveled to Hogwarts and shit. Like all of that is connected, and it's all connected to this as well. It's all within the same like sort of belief system. And same with all the vibrational energy stuff. So it's like whenever you hear that, they are all talking about the same one. You know? I think I see where Onision got the idea for his Space Jesus self-insert. All cults do it. All of them do. Where were we in this? I think I was bitching about how she decided that she was born with it. You know? Because she says, like, yeah, she was born. When she was born, she had a full angel and galactic connection. And then it says later on in her mission, over the course of 7 years, she eventually anchored in her full powers and aspects of Mother of all creation. And I'm like, that was kind of a good way to try to pretend like you're tying it back to the first book you wrote. But it doesn't quite do it for me. Because, like, over the course of the next 7 years after she was born, from age 0 to 7? Or was she just, like, born with these connections, did nothing about it for years, and then all of a sudden one day she woke up and decided to, like, randomly find her full powers? Like, that makes no sense to me. All members of the 144,000, because it's always 144,000, were specifically contracted to be with Mother physically on her mission, which did not happen. Like, okay, thanks. As well as to support her from their stations around the planet. And I'm like, do they know they have stations? I'm just wondering. Our contracts, which again, I didn't sign anything, require us to be part of the first wave of Ascension as we assist in transforming the collective ego, again, ego, unconsciousness. And that is why we have to do the Ascension. It was a good little blurb in their second little book about it, and I thought it kind of wrapped up nicely what we read about this in the last book, which was 4 weeks, once a week, me reading it to you. So you might not remember everything, but that's the gist of what you would have to know going into the video I'm about to show you. You know what I'm saying? So, basically, this is what they tell you to read, what we've read about it. Now we've read basically the first 2 things they tell you to read about this. Okay, the full first book and the blurb in this little book. And then you're supposed to learn via this video. And I'm not going to take anything out of it. We're watching it as is on purpose. Because as we're watching it, try to remember that they're doing this as a university. Okay? Try to remember that they're doing this as if they're like professors in this, and we're all students. And then you'll understand why I told you to do that at the end, you know?
Welcome everybody to 5D University, and today's topic is the Ascension journey. So we've kind of gone through a lot of the basic understandings of like what is the Ascension, you know, the vibrational scale, what are
Does she look familiar? She should. She was actually Amy Carlson's right-hand girl.
the differences in dimensions, what's the ego, what are the divine traits, what are the tools and techniques for transformation. So we've gotten this.
And again, if you did not see the last 4 streams I did on the guide, you can watch them after this, because then you'll understand what she's talking about here. We just read the whole thing that explained all of it to us. So she's basically saying, you know, now you guys know that, because as I said, you're supposed to read that and then watch this. We're doing it like the class would.
Really solid foundation. But the Ascension journey as a whole is what every human being on the planet is going to have to walk the path of, whether they know it or not.
Which again, I thought we signed a contract, but then you gave us amnesia. So, is that why she says whether they know it or not? I feel like people need to consent to go on vacation. So taking people on trips without their consent is not a good thing. I don't know, it's just me. I feel like it's not good. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you don't need to take math to get into this university. No, you just have to pay a bunch of money. This is one of their free videos. This is to hook you. All right? So when you first find out about them and you like reach out to them, they tell you to read the guide we read, okay? And then they give you a few of these videos to quote unquote hook you in. Basically brainwash you into believing that all of this is real. And then once you do that, you are supposed to then pay for the courses, pay for the workbooks, and etc. So no, honey, you don't need any education. You just need a wallet, a credit card, a debit card. Probably also Bitcoin. They seem like the type that would take Bitcoin.
Because Mother Earth herself is ascending. And so it's, you know, interesting because when you tell people about the Ascension and
like the
you know,
mummy
kind
bitch,
of the quantum leap of consciousness that we are experiencing here on Earth, a lot of people will say, oh, that's New Age spirituality, that's a myth, that's a conspiracy theory, all of these sort of things. And what they're missing is that they're not
Oh my God, she's psychic, guys. She knew. She knew that there were going to be people like myself that would want to debunk this stuff. So she did what they all do. She came up with the argument for it before many people had a chance to yet. Because honestly, once Amy was found mummified, a lot of people were just like, wow, that was a crazy cult. And then they moved on.
They're not in tune with Mother Earth herself. And so humans have this idea that we are somehow in control of what happens. And that couldn't be farther from.
They probably also take O-Coin. This is the other place where Ash Mufara will let you spend your O-Coin.
The truth. So you have to understand where Mother Earth is at. And the fact is that Mother Earth is damaged, extremely damaged by the density that has occurred on the planet. And she is extremely damaged by the low consciousness and the low vibrations here. And it is not her natural state. It is not her natural state to have anything that is decaying or dying. The natural state of Gaia, the living being in which we reside on, is she's a feminine essence. So she gives life. She sustains life. She births new things into creation. She creates abundance. She creates beauty.
Yeah, she apparently birthed the whole world.
And majesty and all of these things. So when we see the state of the earth, that tells us everything that we need to know. And the thing that humans don't understand, and that a lot of humanity doesn't understand, is that
I just want to come in here and say that when she's saying like the state of the earth, she's semi talking about what you're thinking of. Because I'm sure when you heard her say that, the first thing that you thought is, oh yeah, with all the wars and everything, right? And how crazy everything is on the earth right now. Yeah, a god wouldn't like that, probably. You know? She's kind of talking about that, but then she's also talking about Western medicine, normal public education, and things like that as well, that most of us wouldn't put in the category of things going on in our earth. I just want to make that clear.
That it's not up to us to fix or change things on a surface level area. You know, we can't just fix surface level problems without fixing the root of the issue. And the root of the issue is that we are not a vibrational match to Mother Earth. Again, she is a divine sovereign being. Every planet is a conscious being. And everything in creation is both self-sustaining, self-healing, and self-correcting. Everything in creation is aligned with source. And source energy is self-sustaining, self-healing, and self-correcting. As humans, because we've been in the mind, we perceive when there's a problem, right, externally, we think we have to come up with a solution to fix the problem, which only leads to more problems. And that's because we don't understand the idea of self-correction and self-healing and self-sustainability. So Mother Earth has to rise up into a higher dimension in order for herself to heal, in order for her to rebalance, in order for her to self-correct what has happened here, where we have a parasitic race, which is humanity, which is a parasitic race to Mother Earth herself. So we don't have control over this. Creation is self-correcting. And so Mother Earth must correct her trajectory, and she must correct her vibrational capacity so that she can heal, so that she can return to her natural state. Because Mother Earth was a fifth dimensional planet, as almost all planets have been, besides the ones that fell into lower dimensions because of the galactic wars, because of this whole battle that has been going on. But within creation, all planets have been fifth dimensional. and above, because again, that is where you are self-sustaining. And so she is moving into that space to correct what has been done. We must be in tune with her enough to realize that she is the one leading this ascension, and we are to integrate and adjust to her, not the other way around. So the
So, did you guys get that? She's leading the ascension.
ascension
Right?
journey is something that Mother
Right?
Earth is going through and has been going through, and we too are going to go through it. Humanity must go through the ascension process in order to continue to reside on Mother Earth. It's just that simple. So the ascension journey can start in any different ways. It doesn't matter how it begins for you. Ultimately, everyone will arrive at the same place, right? So some people begin their journey through a spiritual awakening. There's many people who have had spiritual experiences.
So now you would think that for a journey like this, that there would be like one specific thing that would kind of put you on that journey. But then the cult would only reach a handful of people. So, like always, we have to generalize this and make it so that it applies to everyone. So instead of it just being like a spiritual journey or a religious journey or even a life journey or a specific kind, she's just like, anything will do. So, like, if you've ever gone through a change in your life or gone down some kind of what you would consider to be some kind of journey in your life, even the journey of recovery, that was the start of it for you.
Extra sensory experiences, anything that was just beyond the normal, beyond the 3D, which kind of wakes them up to the fact that there's more going on than what we've been told. It can also come from the disclosure route, which many of you have come from that route as well, figuring out that things have not been told to us. And that things have been hidden, that there's been a lot of lies and corruption in the truths that we know, and that they're actually not truth at all. And so we come from this disclosure place of wanting what is the whole truth. There's also people who begin their awakening through healing, right? They have a pain, illness, or disease, and maybe they start going down the route of learning about their body, about holistic healing, about the way that everything affects us, toxins, density, emotions, lower frequencies. And so they start this self-healing journey, which inevitably leads them into more of the spiritual path. So it doesn't really matter where it begins, right? Ultimately, though, there is an event or an experience that triggers our awakening when it is divinely timed. Because remember, we all have unique DNA. We all have unique DNA blueprints. And so our higher selves wrote the plan for us in terms of when we were going to awaken is timed by our DNA and by our unique blueprint and essence that we have, and how
All right. So, you had said something, and I had a memory triggered. And I found it. I thought I could find it. So, in a live stream Love Has Won broadcasted on March 14th of 2021, Argio Ho, her real name Ashley Peluso, and she went by Hope at the in the cult, age 26, says in an anti-Semitic soliloquy that what society has been taught about the Holocaust and the Nazis is sus, as in suspicious. Hitler's intention was to serve the light, adds Archiette Aurora, who is the woman that we're actually watching right now. Aurora. Okay. who was 30 years old at the time, and her real name is Lauren Suarez. And she's a former lawyer from Florida, as it says here, and she went on to say, Jews wanted everyone else to do the work and they would take the money. The idea behind the concentration camps was to teach them to work. And here's the proof here, if you don't, for some reason, believe me, that the girl that we're watching right now, Aurora Oracle, as you'll see, she's still, going by this. And then this is Hope, the other one. And they were like Amy Carlson's two head women. Although members rotate hosting duties, these two open the broadcast the most often. They're like the spokeswomen, they called it. Suarez tells Mary Claire that she woke up or started to realize things aren't what they seem when she was 19. From the time I was a child, and I'm sure my parents would agree, I questioned everything, she says. The answer I received was, that's just the way things are. But that's not true. There's a reason we are here. It says between 2012 and 2016, she immersed herself in online conspiracies. I knew back in 2012 about the War of the Cabal, Suarez says. During this time, Suarez felt like she was missing something and would know what it was when she found it. The answer, Suarez says, turned out to be Carlson Stroud. Hearing her speak resonated with Suarez's soul. And that's Amy Carlson. Her last name was Carlson Stroud. So, yeah, that was that I seem to remember reading an article when I had first covered this. I went through this whole article. I've already gone through it all. But then when you said the thing about the anti-Semitism, it triggered it for me. My mind's weird, and it went, there's direct quotes of this woman saying stuff about Hitler in an article. Go find it. So there you go. And that, of course, is this woman.
Awakening comes about is also going to be unique. So it doesn't matter where it begins, but it always starts with an event or an experience that
I still don't know, Joe.
Changes the way we see the world.
I still don't know how to spell it. I still mess it up. But one of the things that they did do is that they got a letter from the FDA about their colloidal silver that they were selling. I remember that.
It changes it for us, where we can't go back. We can't unsee it. So again, that can start in many different ways. The next part of the journey after that event occurs is normally that we go through a period of time where we are trying to absorb as much information as possible. Again, once you kind of start down the rabbit hole, you keep going until you feel like you have uncovered as much information as you possibly can. And so during that phase is when we typically rise in consciousness very quickly, because no matter which route we began with, it kind of opens us up to a lot of different information.
See, and what gets me about her and other cults too, when they talk like this, is that there's a lot of people, and even like the MLMs and stuff, when they talk like this, all of it is the same with this shit. And I am one of these people, and this is how I fell into doing MLMs and shit, okay? Is they take personal development and they use that as their weapon to prey on you. So a lot of people believe in just working on yourself, trying to do better and be better in life, and doing personal development. Even if they don't call it personal development necessarily, a lot of people live like that, okay? And whenever the cults and the MLMs and things like that talk like this, I feel like they're trying to take like those people and be like, hey, you're on this journey of, personal development. But what you're really doing is you're getting ready for this mission that Amy Carlson sent you to do after she made you sign a contract, probably under duress, and then gave you amnesia. Because I can think of no other way why someone would want to give you amnesia after forcing you to sign a legal contract, okay? That makes no sense to me. Usually, they have to remember what they signed so that they can abide by. I'm just saying. So it kind of irks me because I'm like, you can kind of tell how the type of young person, let's say, who's kind of in the world for the first time, and it's their first kind of personal development journey, is usually when you set off into the world at first, whether you're in college or adulthood after college, whenever you move out on your own, right? And it's like that's who she's trying to reach right now and prey on. Instead of this person just doing their friggin' journey, she wants to try to take that and add all this other extra importance hoopla over it. It's like, just let people live, dude, and try and do better without being in a cult or having to join an MLM. And it's made it so that, like, the whole personal development industry now, like, gives me bad vibes. So how the fuck am I supposed to do a personal development, damn it?
Right? We start just learning about all these things that we didn't know about before. And it starts to change the way that we live, and it starts to change the way that we interact. So during that phase, there's always a lot of research, a lot of information going around. And so that is part of the phase. That is part of the awakening journey.
Yes, it's like a mixture of Selena and Carrie.
Now, there's always a point, and this is where I feel there's a lot of people who have gotten stuck.
Oh,
They've
here we
had
go.
an awakening, an event or an experience, and they've gone through the process of researching and learning and trying to absorb as much information as they possibly can so that they can develop their own inner discernment about what's true, what resonates with them, etc. But a lot of people have gotten stuck in that information stage. They're in a state of constantly wanting to consume more information. And if you stay stuck in that phase, you will never
Yeah, don't try to learn too much. Don't try to learn too much because it's bad for the cult. All right, listen, they want you to think a lot about the cult, not think a lot outside of the box.
finish the journey. Because you can only absorb so much information, right? And
that's not true. Trust me. You can learn and grow nonstop. You can research every day, all day long, and learn 5 million things a day until your heart contents. And you will never, ever, ever not be able to intake the information. You might exhaust your brain a little bit and you might get tired and shit, but there's no such thing as being too smart. Ever. If you ever think that you are too smart, you need to humble yourself.
also, your discernment levels
Keep
have
learning.
not gotten to a place where you can have non-attachment to information, where you're not forming belief systems based on the new information. Because the reason it took so long for this awakening to occur has been because of the ego mind, which creates belief systems and attachment. So we don't want to repeat those patterns. So when we're in the information stage, the absorber,
Okay.
it's important to stay non-attached to information. And that's a key one of where people are getting stuck. They're getting stuck in consuming more and more and more information, but they have not.
You guys have done a bazillion lessons and then written like 20 books that they're supposed to read. So do you just mean after they're done taking in all the stuff you told them to take in?
Not actually started to do the inner work that is necessary in order to break down belief systems, to be non-attached to information, right? And to learn higher levels of discernment. So if we stay stuck in that phase too long, it ends up creating a lot of stagnation within ourselves, and we end up just developing new belief systems, new attachments to information, when
Oh
that
my
was the whole
God,
point
you
of us
don't want that. No, no, no. You don't want to have a new belief system. You want to make sure you stay within the cult's belief system.
awakening, was to break out of the attachment to what
You
we've been told. But
don't break out
instead,
of the
now we've
cult
kind
though.
of recreated this just constant consuming of information and being attached to what we are reading or finding or being told. Because the true evolution from the information stage is the inner work stage. So once we start absorbing a lot of information and we start opening ourselves up to learning more and more about everything, right? About the way that our bodies work, about true history as much as we can, right? We
Notice,
start to learn
notice how she said true history. Yeah, not the history you learned about in school in your history books. No, 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 no. The history of Mother Earth that we read and how the world was created that they put in their cult books. That history.
more about how energy works, how there's a lot more going on than we understand. And then you have to start applying that information to do the inner work. And again, that's where I'm seeing a lot of beings get stuck. They're stuck in information and consuming. They're not moving on to the stage of inner work. And this is why we are very adamant that you have to eventually move into that stage. And the inner work is the dissolvement of the ego, right? It's being aware of the programmings and how they function and working to dissolve them. It is about embodying the divine traits of a God self, because that is the inner work that we do to embody our higher self. And it,
well, according to you,
is also the disciplines, right? We have to start incorporating self-love disciplines, tools and techniques, spiritual disciplines into our daily life, which starts to get us to the point where we start embodying the higher self. We have better discernment. We are no longer kind of attached to the information as much as we use it to confirm something.
I still don't know what it means to be attached to the information. She's acting like you can somehow get caught up in some kind of learning loop. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you learn too much and now you're just on loop learning stuff. Oh no, can't stop learning, just in the library all day and night long. And it's like, that's not a thing. And usually, if people are learning something about, like, something to do with their spiritual journey, right? So you're on a spiritual journey, and your whole thing is that you need to do this ascension. So usually, people, while they're learning it, they'll be incorporating it, right? Especially with things like religion and spirituality. People tend to learn about it in order to incorporate it into their everyday and their life, right? And their belief system and etc. So I am having a very hard time picturing this world as she sees it, where you just sit down and learn without incorporating anything while you're learning it, and then you get stuck on a loop unless you start to, like, do the inner work, as she calls it. Like, I'm kind of like, what world did she come up in? Because I'm trying to picture this, like, learning too much loop, and I can't for the life of me. Because I'm like, but I don't get it. If you're on a journey and you're supposed to be incorporating things into your life, how could you learn too much? How are you getting on this life? Maybe I'm just dumb, but I'm having a very hard time with it.
Or we use it to give us an insight, just, or something to kind of take into consideration, but we're not attached to it, and we're developing
Like,
our
what does that
intuition
mean?
and our heart center, which is the key to moving through this ascension process. The inner work must be done, because you can have all the information in the world, but if you haven't started to practically apply that to your life, then again, you're stuck in the old 3D paradigm, which is just learning, memorizing, and regurgitating information without actually having.
But like I said, who is just sitting there learning it without incorporating? I'd like to know.
Lived it or done it or had some sort of practical application. So the inner work phase takes time. We have seen that as more and more people wake up, the time it takes to kind of go through this journey is getting shorter. So that's a positive, but it also has to be, you have to walk the path. You have to go through the experiences to get, through to the end. It's like you can't stop halfway. So once the inner work begins, that's when a lot of people either stop,
Okay.
or they never even enter that phase because it's uncomfortable. That is the phase where you are ripping off the...
See, now, if she had presented it from the beginning as doing the work is uncomfortable to you, that, like, I could see that, because in therapy, it's the same thing, right? It's like you can learn all of the interventions you want, but unless you're doing them and incorporating them into your everyday life to the point where they're no longer like an intervention that you do, it's just part of how you live kind of thing. Like, I could see how taking that step might be scary. So maybe you would get stuck in the learning part because you're too scared to take the next step. But she didn't bring that up until fucking now. And I'm like, you presented this like everyone gets information and then just sits and reads these documents and memorizes it, as she said, and learns it. And then once they know every single thing about it, then they might decide to start doing it. And then there might be some like anxiety about that. Like maybe there's some anxiety. And I'm like, girl, like, you're supposed to be teaching this. And I just feel like she's not making it sound that interesting or like something that I'm gonna really, really want to be a part of.
Band-aids. You are facing the wounds that you have. You are facing the programmings that you've
Yeah,
developed.
which again, you can do in therapy. And a lot of people go into therapy and they might learn how to do the therapy. And then as a therapist, you do it with them a bunch of times. And then you tell them to do it on their own. And then you tell them to do it until they're just like positive self-talk, for example. Okay. You teach them the stop intervention to stop the negative self-talk. Then you teach them how to replace it with positive self-talk. Then you tell them to constantly have positive self-talk in their mind as often as possible until literally they just start thinking more positively about themselves. Just as the quickest example I could kind of give, okay, as a therapy like that. I could see how a journey in spirituality would be similar to that. You have different steps you have to do. It's kind of like therapy, but it's like the spiritual version. You know what I'm saying? I could like relate it to that and understand. But again, like nobody is just sitting there and learning it and then getting caught on a loop. Learning too much. And what, again, is this learning too much?
Your own belief systems, right? Your own attachment to things, and you start healing and you start unpacking everything that has been programmed.
But this is where we're going to start to get into problems out here. Because in future on my channel, we're going to start getting into how they kind of help people, quote unquote, unpack this baggage, if you will. Because it's a little problematic and worrisome.
This usually causes...
It's not therapy. And I wouldn't trust this woman to be a spiritual guide of anyone. Do you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't trust Amy to either. I got a big problem with that. So it's like, you want to take people and their whole lives' baggage and then claim that you're going to help them unpack all of it to ascend on this planetary ascension journey because they signed a contract and then you gave them amnesia and they're here on a mission for Mother God, who was just fucking here and found mummified in her bed with Christmas lights on her. Like, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot.
Us to have You know,
Those
we
are her
stop
dogs. I don't have
resonating with the
dogs. I just
same
have
things
a.
that we always
That's
resonated with.
enough.
So this is usually a period where we do feel quite isolated, and many of you have probably experienced this. You do feel a little bit isolated because you have to be with yourself. You have.
Well, also in this process, they're usually joining your cult if they're listening to you, Lauren, name's Lauren. They're usually, joining a cult, and cults tend to isolate people from their friends and family, especially anyone that is telling them, hey, I think what you're in might be a cult. You might want to rethink some of these belief systems. And they tell them, oh, people that are questioning you are trying to stop your journey. So people end up isolating themselves. I think it's funny how in most of the cults that I cover, they present this as part of the journey. Again, like preemptively defending and trying to come up with a reason why, like, isolating someone from everyone else in their lives would be a good idea, if you will. Maybe she means that we can get stuck in the Matrix. The Matrix comes up in every cult. She's sounding like an MLM hun on one of their webinars. She is. And that's the funny thing about this, is that this is for the 5D university, where you're then supposed to pay for classes, and you don't get much different than this. This is what you're paying for. It's just a bunch of these. Can't they just take your money and be happy with that? This is burning my brain. Well, Ken, you see, you signed a contract with Mother God to be on this mission. I know the bitch gave you amnesia, so you don't remember, because that's helpful when someone signs a contract. I often make people sign contracts for me to do work for me, and then I bonk them on the head so that they don't fucking remember what they signed, so that then they can no longer abide by it. It's great fun. It's good fun for all. So it doesn't matter what you think, Ken. You're on this fucking mission, whether you like it or not, like she said. Okay? Even if you don't want to be, you're fucking on it. Yeah, billion-year contract. I'm sure you're one of the 144,000. Right? Right. I think right now would be a good time to take a break, because we're like almost halfway done this, and we've been going for an hour. So we'll be right back after a message from our sponsors.
How do you know if your problems are the result of bad life choices or demons? And what do you do if your problem is demons? My 200-page book, Dealing with Demons, has answers for questions most are afraid to ask. Can Christians be demon-possessed? How can I know what's natural and what's supernatural? Dealing with Demons will teach you how to recognize symptoms that the devil is at work in your life or the life of someone that you care about. Learn strategies to avoid Satan's traps and walk in freedom and supernatural protection. Read Dealing with Demons and be one step closer to living in spiritual victory.
Wait, do you have a condom? You don't have one somewhere? Yes. Oi, excuse me there, sir. Do you have these directions? Sure, you just go down that way and make a turn. Don't let her know that your dinger is almost a no-go. Get Tiny Dinger condoms to you discreetly. It's very important to choose the right size, so make sure that you get your tiny size. Don't be caught without a condom. No, no, no. Get Tiny Dinger condoms, a YouTube streamer's favorite brand. Located at your local CVS pharmacy, Rexall, Shopper, Drug Smart, Walmart, and in your favorite streamer's nightstand. Are you someone who worships our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? Do you believe women owe you what the Virgin Mary refused to give up? Is your life meaningless unless you can experience the touch of a woman, but not just any woman, a true Stacy? Are you tired of gym maxing? Well, we have the perfect solution for you, Giga Chad. Brought to you by the same people who brought you Tiny Dinger condoms, trademarked, a YouTube streamer's favorite brand. We now offer sexual endorphin spray to help attract the perfect Stacy. With just a few squirts. No, don't squirt that! Sorry. Today's content is brought to you by Sexual Endorphin Spray, trademarked. Just spray yourself with this fabulous fragrance, and the women won't be able to keep themselves off you.
I use a sexual endorphin spray to attract this dumb hoe. She hasn't left my kitchen or my bedroom since, know what I'm saying?
Shit smells amazeballs. The fragrance is cool too. It smelled so good, even Grandma loved it. And me. A little too much, actually. You can even use it at church, guys. The nuns wouldn't stop grabbing at me. Neither did the pastor's wife. Women will love the scent, guaranteed. He smells so good. I just want to rip off all of his clothes and then just take my tongue and then... Okay then, amen. Grab a bottle for yourself today, along with a box of Tiny Dinger condoms, trademarked, a YouTube streamer's favorite brand, and you'll be posting shorts on YouTube called From Incel to Giga Chad in no time. Sexual Endorphin Spray, trademarked. Be a Giga Chad right away and spray to get your dream Stacy today. Located at Shoppers, Drug Mart, Rexall, Hartman's, RX Pharmacy, Home Depot, Chad's R Us, the grocery store, all the damn pharmacies, and in your favorite YouTube streamer's pocket. Now, back to our regular programming.
Yes, so I just wanted to say, allegedly on here, I'm a really huge big grifter. So, this is my PayPal. Feel free to support the channel, since I never remember to say so during my streams. But gotta keep up with the image, you know? Now, back to what she was saying.
Reflections and inner work things, and you start healing and you start unpacking everything that has been programmed. And this usually causes us to have, we stop resonating with the same things that we always resonated with. So this is usually a period where we do feel quite isolated, and many of you have probably experienced this. You do feel a little bit isolated because you have to be with yourself. We have to be reacquainted with who we are inside. We have to do reflections and inner work and contemplations and releasing, and it takes time. And so
my thing is that, you should be doing that anyway.
Sometimes we do end up being a little bit isolated.
You don't need a cult for that.
Because we have to pull back from all the distractions and the interference from the outside so that we can really get to the core of who we are. We can really start to let go and unpack a lot of the things that we've held on to, as well as what's in our DNA and in our generational line. So this inner work portion never really stops, but the major work that gets done will happen within that time period. And patience with yourself is key. And then you get to a point where you've done a lot of the inner work. And this is when people usually start to feel like they're kind of ready to come out of that isolated stage. And again, people get...
By then, all of your friends and family are sick of you for ditching them for a cult.
Stuck at this level too, right? They get kind of, I would say, attached to the inner work and healing phase. Because again, healing is ongoing and inner work is ongoing, right?
It should be, even without the cult. You don't need anything to do that other than yourself and maybe a therapist.
It's going to keep going throughout the rest of the journey. It's just not going to be such a focus, and it's not going to be the majority of what you do anymore, but it's going to be an integral part still of how we progress.
Mm-hmm. And how are we going to progress? Lauren, Aurora.
But a lot of people get stuck in being just kind of overly focused on the inner work and the healing to the point where they've been doing it for years and years.
And like the thing is that whenever people join this call, especially if they get close enough to like be one of the main members here, they change their name, right? So they get stripped of their identity. A lot of cults do this. It's a huge cult tactic used, where when you join, you strip your old identity and you wear like a cult identity, if you will, and you rename yourself and everything. And this one does that. And it's always interesting to me how they all talk about like your healing of your whole past and your life and all this, but then they also strip you of your identity and rename you.
Years, and they still feel like, oh, I still have more shadow work to do. I still have more healing to do. And of course, again, there's always healing to be done. There's always more inner work. But it can't be the sole focus, because then you're just starting to try.
Then how do you know? Because at first, learning couldn't be the sole focus. You had to move on to like, doing the things you learned. Now you're saying that shouldn't be the main focus either. And now you should be moving on to something else. I get this is an ascension, so you're constantly moving, all right? Like up, as you would say, to this higher consciousness. But like, come on, lady.
Find things to fix. You're starting to over focus on what you need to heal and what you need to, which only makes it bigger, which only makes it more prevalent. So at a certain point, when you know that you've gone through a significant amount of inner work, you can feel the changes within you. At this stage is that's where we recommend, that's the ego.
So like, again, so you're the one that decides when you move on, but you have to go by the rules of their ascension, and you're doing this ascension as a mission because of a contract you signed before you were given amnesia for Mother God. It's like, what the fuck? You would think that they would have clear steps on the things that you need to do. And they loosely do, right? And we've kind of gone through them a bit, but they're all general as always. So not really. So it's like, okay, so then how do you really know to move on if you're in this thing? Like, is it when Aurora tells us that we're ready, maybe?
Work. That's the divine trait embodiments. Those are the self-love disciplines and techniques. That's the core of that phase. And then when you know that you've made a lot of changes internally, you will start
just because you
noticing
know
how you respond rather than react to things. You will notice how you feel a lot more in the present moment of now. You're much more trusting. You can start to see how you're not embodying the same programmings and lower behavior that you were before. And
so basically, once you're okay with being brainwashed into the cult,
you really feel the change within yourself.
Oh, okay.
And then you move into the stage of service. So again, there's a lot of beings who are tinkering on that and have not yet moved into the stage of service.
See, again, she's just sounding like we're climbing up a pyramid scheme now. We're going from ruby to emerald to diamond.
Service. And the stage of service to others is where you bring all the experiences that you've had thus far on your awakening.
Okay.
And you start sharing it with others.
Aren't respond and react basically the same thing? Good question, Ken. Yes and no. A lot of people consider reacting to be more based on emotions and responding to be more based on like intellect, logic. So some might argue that reacting is
freaking out about something. Like, someone says something to you that's rude and you snap back at them, and that's a reaction. Whereas if someone says something to you that's rude, and then your response is to calmly call them rude and then just ignore them for the rest of the day, let's say, some people would consider that to be like a response more than a reaction. I think that's how people would maybe differentiate between the two. Technically, yes. Like, technically, they're both responding, right? But some would argue that they're not both reacting. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay, good. I think that's what she's referring to here. Like, instead of reacting to things in your life quickly with emotion, maybe not thought out, you're able to better. But again, this sounds like a mixture of a therapy session with some new age spirituality mixed in. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't need something like this to be able to work on yourself and do personal development and better your life.
You start helping others who maybe are just beginning their journeys, or maybe they're just at an earlier stage, and you
now we're signing other people up for the pyramid.
Start really serving others in the best way that you can. This is the path of love. That's what the Ascension journey is. So when you move into the service to others, a lot of people, I think, are hesitant to move into that stage because they feel like they don't know enough. They don't have enough wisdoms. They feel like they still aren't.
Well, maybe if you didn't rush them out of the first stage when they were trying to learn everything, Aurora. Geez, you really are Sleeping Beauty with that, huh?
Healed, and so they can't help others, and that, again, is all just part of the mind's programming, because it's not like we're moving into service and saying, I have all the answers.
She's like, I know you. I walked with you once on the Ascension blade.
And this is the only way to do it. It's bringing your experience and your journey into what you help share with others, because we all are interconnected. So we all are going to relate to each other in different ways. So what you've been through as far as your experience, awakening, learning about different truths, then embodying.
Which, again, the truths are the cult truths. So to us, they're not truths. It's just truths to her.
That and actually doing the inner work and applying it, those are going to help. Those experiences are going to help somebody else who's on that same path, who has similar experiences, who has had similar challenges as you. And if we are in service to others, we are just looking to share with others what was helpful to us and what wasn't, right? And then the service to others, again, continues on for the rest of the journey. So all of these stages are always continuing.
So now, right, since all the stages are always continuing, which she has said several times, right? Because at the end of each stage, she's like, oh, well, you're still doing it into the next stage. So then I'm like, okay, so again, how do you get stuck just on a loop in a stage then? And how do you know the difference between getting stuck on loop in a stage and then continuing it on into the next stage? None of this is ever explained. I've looked. It's just all left up to you. Which I don't really know if it is, right? Because they still do have things that they expect you to do at each one of these stages. Belief systems you have to have, for example. Like she keeps saying, oh, you finally found all the truths. Again, that's the truths as they tell it to you. They believe in a lot of conspiracy theory, weird shit. Remember Jason Castillo? He was JFK. Amy Carlson was Marilyn
Monroe. We like literally, and they believe in a lot of weird shit. They're all about the 9/11 conspiracy, but it's like the weird one, you know what I'm saying? Not just that George Bush did it, like they get all into weird stuff with it. Just, I've covered most of it before. So it's like, that's their truth. That's what they mean. Like, you've basically stopped believing everything as you know it to be, and history as you know it to be, and the truth of the world as you know it to be right now, sitting here, watching my stream. Throw that all out the window, and then take on what they say is the truth. So, again, what we read the last month on my channel in those books, how they said the world came to be, and then all the weird stuff, and the 144,000, and by weird stuff, I meant all the conspiracy theories and all that, and then all the weird beliefs about Mother Earth's death, Mother God, Mother Earth, Amy Carlson, all the many different names she's called, Mother of all creation, and like why she died, and it was to help us all start this ascension, basically, and blah, blah, blah. It means taking on that as your truth. So, to me, again, as usual, the so-called teachings in these cults, and this is always the first one, by the way, that they want you to do, like I keep saying. This is kind of like the introduction to it that they expect everyone to go on. We're doing it as if we're joining this thing, and we're students here. It's like, it's obviously just to break down your belief system, break you down as a person, because you're apparently doing this self-development. And again, MLMs work the same, the commercial cults, they do it the same way with it too. And then make you take on their belief system. Every single time. They may make it sound like you're doing this great planetary ascension, and it's a wonderful journey, and it's a mission for Mother God. But really what you're doing is you're breaking down your whole belief system to take on their belief system, and breaking yourself down as a person as you isolate yourself, so that, you just become one of these cult members. And then when you so-called are done isolating yourself, who's left in your life? Basically just the people in this cult. So that's who you'd be coming out to talk to again, and trusting again, and everything, right? Because throughout all of this, there's also the us versus them mentality that they always threw in there. To remember that when Amy Carlson was alive too, and maybe some of you didn't know this, so I'm also going to say it for you guys too, she constantly had an us versus them mentality. She was always going on about the cabal coming and sending people to try to stop her. So you have to also keep that in mind, that that's also going on. At the same time as you're learning all of this, you're also being told that. That's part of the truth too, is that you have to believe that anyone that's not in the cult must be a part of this cabal, and they're sent here to fuck up your mission. You're the Terminator or something. And so with all of that going on, it really is just them having you reprogram yourself, and they're too lazy to do much about it. So they've made it so fucking general that it's able to apply to anyone at any time, at any stage in their life, with anything that they're going through. And she admits it as much here, right? You have to be isolated from everything and everyone. Exactly. And you hear how she's explained that away, if you will. Because they can't just come right out and be like, the MLMs all the time, they come out, they go, oh, fuck the haters. Your aunt doesn't want to join, says this is a scam. Block her, But usually the spiritual and religious cults are a little bit more careful about that. They want to seem like they always care about family and the people in your life, while ripping you away from them. They like to mind fuck you more about it. So here they've explained it as, oh, well, you're isolating yourself right now, not because we're kind of forcing you to in a weird way because we're putting you on this weird journey you never signed up for, but you're here and you're lost, so we're taking you in. A lot of people that end up here are just people that are looking for belongingness, as I believe one of you said in my chat earlier, or just the meaning of their life, right? They're vulnerable in some way, and then these guys go, this is what will help you. So they can't just be like, oh yeah, we want to isolate you from everyone. So they basically have you do it to yourself for the journey. You know, it's all part of the journey. It's a good thing. I know it seems like it sucks that you're not talking to anyone in your family or any of your old friends right now. But trust me, after you are completely brainwashed into this cult, and they got fed up of waiting around for you, you know, then we'll all be here for you. She looks like someone about to ask for God's manager. Wait a minute, is this what happens when you don't read Apple's terms and conditions? Yes. Yes, it is. Somebody told me, or I heard somewhere, I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I'm tired. It's been a rough couple days. Just with stuff going on around my house with like furniture coming and moving stuff around and maintenance at the same time. It's just been nuts. But someone told me that I believe it's on TikTok's like terms of service, you actually agree to not build nuclear bombs with it. And I was like, that is a weird thing to randomly throw in to the terms of service. For I believe it was TikTok, but that just reminded me of it. And I'm like, yeah, I wonder if Apple has that one, you know? Yeah, worse, Google's. No, worse, on passives.
And in the beginning, the new information, the absorbing of new truths, that will go on throughout the rest of the journey as well. It's just going to look different. So in the service to others phase is when most people make the leap out of 3D. Meaning a lot of people get to this stage that even if they are still invested or working in the 3D systems, they are also utilizing their time for service to others in some capacity, right? But many people during that phase end up leaving the system completely and kind of dedicating themselves to the service, whatever that.
Joe, it's funny you say that. How you just said Queenie shouldn't have been jumping on the new bed with your daughter. Funny story. Her new bed has wooden legs, and she does still not jump, but she bounces on the bed. So after we put it together for her, my husband says to her, don't jump on the bed. It has wooden legs. And we told her she could break them. She probably couldn't, but we were just like, new bed, take care of it, don't jump. So then later on, I go into her room I believe it was nighttime. I was saying goodnight, doing the night thing. And as soon as I got in there and went to go sit on the bed, she stops me. She says, Mommy, make sure that you're careful and that you don't jump down on my bed because it has wooden legs and it can break. And I was like, good girl. I know, sweetheart. Don't worry. We're good. You can sit on it and she could probably jump on it to sit and it's not going to break. The kid's not a big kid. Okay, she's not overweight or anything. She's fine, but she can get bouncing on her bed. So we were like, don't jump on it. Well, this morning I went to go wake her up and, for school, go in her room in the morning and I do the whole, okay, sweetie, it's time to get up for school. Okay. And literally the first thing, she hadn't even opened her eyes yet. And she goes, okay, but Mommy, I hope you didn't jump down on my bed because the legs are wooden and you can break them. And I just thought it was so funny. I was like, you haven't even woken up yet. And you're already we have to be careful with my new bed, Mom.
So I was like, well, I don't think it's going to be a problem, Trevor. Because, like, he was still sleeping when this happened this morning. So I, like, came home from taking her from school. And I was like, yeah, so the first thing that your daughter said to me this morning, I just thought it was so funny. She's hilarious like that. She's so funny like that. But it made me laugh. I was like, well, at least you're remembering this time. I'll give you that. She must really like her new bed.
That may be. That could be teaching and sharing with others. That could be, trying to serve others in the community by.
See, and this is the other thing. Like, okay, so you're on a mission, a journey, and you have people that are apparently leading you on this journey, except they don't give you any real instructions. Like, they're like, oh, you have to do stuff. You can do stuff for your community. It could be whatever you want, just as long as you're serving. You can help people in however way you want, as long as you're helping someone. Opening a door for someone is the equivalent to serving a soup kitchen and providing them with all their food for a year in this. You know what I mean? It's like you don't even have actual steps. It's just all general things that you're supposed to learn or know by each stage.
Different passion projects that you have, or humanitarian projects that you have, of course. So there's many different ways to be in service to others, to be in service to love, period. And that service to love phase then kind of morphs into the mastery phase.
I'll try not to.
The mastery phase is not the end of the journey, because there truly is no end to the journey. I think the mastery phase is where we enter.
What? Like, how is there no end? It's funny, the way that they describe the end of the journey, it sounds like you die. Honestly, it sounds like you're unalived. It's obviously the end of your life. Because the only reason why you're here is to do that mission for Mother God. And then life will end when you're done the mission, I guess. And then hopefully you've ascended by then. So then you could, like, go be in heaven or whatever. So it's like, why does this not have an end to it? How do we know that you have done what you are apparently supposed to be doing here?
The unknown period. And this is the period where you've learned all that you can in terms of the information that is present in our reality that we can actually obtain. And we have done the inner work. We have applied the principles. We have been in service to others. And then we reach a.
Again, she said this reality because, remember, they believe in many different ones happening.
Of mastery, where we really are stepping into the being God with God, which means that we now obtain most of our information through the heart, from our connection to Source, the Divine Mother.
Mother God, Amy Carlson, the mummified bitch with the Christmas lights.
Most of our information now comes from there, because there's no longer information in the 3D realm.
Right? Easy. They'll tell you, usually when they've drained your bank accounts. And see, that's the thing, right? That's why you're never done this journey. That's why there's always something more to learn. I mean, if you think about it, there would only be one creation to our world, one creation of God, and then what would be expected on this journey. Once you learn it, you learn it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no other journey in the world that just continues on forever. Imagine if the moon landing just went on until the end of time. Don't bring up the moon landing to them either. We told Jason Castillo went to the moon too. Jesus Christ. I can't deal with it. So it's so that it just continues on, and they can kind of decide and control you, right? Because once they have you at this point that she's talking about right here, you've already been brainwashed into this thing. And you're allegedly nearing the end of this ascension. Okay? You would think that then you would be kind of done the journey. Like she says, there's no more to learn. Bet your ass there are courses for this stage and books. You get what I'm saying? Oh, did he not post up his video? Oh, I usually do a reaction to it on the weekend, so hopefully he posts it for us, Joe. Jeez. He's late today. But a lot of it is just to rip you off with all these courses, all these books, all of this extra stuff they have to do. Because again, if they gave you steps, there are some people that are like me and will be like, I want to do this. I'm going to do every single fucking step best to my ability. And then what? Because then what happens is then you expect for the end of this mission to come. And you're supposed to then, as she says, be like one with Source and Mother God. Be all knowing and blah, blah, blah. That's never coming, as we all know. So it's like, you can't have the end point because none of this actually exists. It's like a doomsday cult, right? Every time that the day starts to get close, something happens and it changed. You know, or the days were switched around and they got it wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't actually get to the end because what's allegedly happening at the end is not actually real. It's not going to happen. So they have to keep it ongoing. And I just find it so interesting the way that this cult does it, because at the same time, it technically is for the end of your life to go to heaven. So you would think that you would have a better, like, outline of what you're supposed to do. Just like Harold Camping, just like Harold Klemp. This thing reminds me of Eckankar a lot, too. I swear they pulled from it as well.
That is even relevant at that phase.
It's
interesting, or it can provide, again, confirms, and it can provide you insight.
Why does she say confirms? Confirms. Am I the only one that got really annoyed?
Into what is happening on the collective level, but it's no longer relevant to your personal journey. All the information now comes from above, from the higher. And the mastery phase you step into, then starting to cultivate your own unique blueprint. What are you here to give the world? What are your passions? What are your gifts? Having a high level of trust in oneself. And you just become this very organic being where you can play any role, right? You can help teach others, you can be in service, you can also, withdraw sometimes to do some more inner work. You're able to relate to.
That's a good one, Thomas. Thomas says she puts the con in confirmed. She does.
Anyone of any consciousness level, regardless of whether they're asleep or awake, it doesn't matter anymore. The mastery level, the unknown.
And here's the thing. I want you guys to tell me. You don't have to tell me right now. You can wait. We'll be seeing more of her in future. Don't worry. I can't figure out fully if she really, really fully does believe in all this, or if she knows that none of this shit's real and is just one big fucking con artist.
Levels where we then now dissolve the duality. We stop seeing things as good or bad, black or white, right or wrong, and we just start embodying source energy.
My whole thing is, has she gotten there?
And we start sharing and emanating that source energy so that we can play any role we need to play. We can, kind of maneuver and navigate the unknown because we have the tools, we have a solid foundation, we have our connection to source, and we basically just follow the unknown. We are following divine will at that point. We are doing whatever the divine will is asking us to do. We are doing whatever the divine will is urging us through our heart, through our passion, through our excitement.
Yeah, the divine will is really just her.
To do. And you enter a whole different space. And again, that's not the destination point, because the unknown is the unknown. And so we don't know what comes after that, because we're in it right now and we don't know how it's going to look. I feel, probably the co-creative phase will come with that, where we
Again, it's like, how do you not know? Like, you're the one leading this fucking ship, lady. What do you mean you don't know? The divine will, but who is will? Damn it, there's a 20th Father God.
all start actually co-creating the new earth together as God.
Yeah, I believe there was 8 or 9 Father Gods. At least. I believe that's
God,
what it was.
Having our spiritual abilities, having all of our human potential able to be utilized for the highest good. So those are kind of the phases that we can mark right now in the current process, right? We don't know, again, how the next processes are going to go, because we're still in the unfoldment.
I'm so glad that Mother God left her mission here on Earth and just left us all wondering what comes after that part in Ascension. Wasn't that great of her?
But we know that there is about 4 stages currently that we can experience, which is the awakening phase.
She was just high and drunk all the time and unable to give any more instructions. She ended up passing out after that, you see, Joe?
Which, can last a little bit of time too, just
Got
depends
wet
how long
brain.
it takes us to kind of start clicking things together. Then we have the information stage, the absorbing of new information. Then we have the integration stage, or the embodiment stage, where we actually start doing the inner work, applying the principles and the tools and techniques and the self-love disciplines that we've learned, or we start applying the things that we are learning about into our daily life. We start embodying these higher qualities. And then we move into the service to others, where we start sharing that with others and doing what we can to help awaken others, right? And then we move on to the mastery phase, which again is very unknown, but it allows us more freedom into where we can easily change roles. We are now under divine will. We're no longer kind of trying to figure it all out. We're no longer asking for proof and questions. And
she was actually on magic mushrooms. Very openly. Yeah, they used to say that the magic mushrooms would help them with like visions, like obviously, right? So they did a lot of like psychedelic drugs and then would trip out and then would be like, oh, we were having visions together. Mother God was giving us visions. And yeah, so they did smoke a lot of pot, but excuse me, it wasn't that was so worrisome, right? I don't think anyone anymore cares about that. It was the shrooms. And a lot of people believe that they took LSD. They claim to have done it on a couple different occasions. Again, we believe it to be a lot more. So they did literal psychedelic drugs and then would be like, oh, yeah, that's our new age religion telling us things. Like it was fucking hilarious. It was hilarious. I wouldn't be surprised if they were on some METH, because of the fact that some people had stated that Jason Castillo was involved in that type of thing before he was in the cult. So a lot of people speculated there was going to be harder drugs. I can just say for sure they were on psychedelic drugs. They've mentioned LSD, and they've literally streamed themselves high on shrooms and been like, we're high on shrooms. If you go back and you look on my channel for like
the first video that I did, I believe, on them, I ended up showing one of the live streams that they did where they were just basically fucking really high, and they came on and they were like, we're high right now, and it was very, very weird. Very, very fucking weird. Sorry, I'm like getting you the link for that. I'm gonna drop it. I'll drop the link for like the first one I did where I would have shown a lot of the old stuff on it. I believe it's this one. I have a lot done on them, but yeah, there's definitely I definitely have a couple times on my channel showing videos of them saying that they were on magic mushrooms. So there was that.
And trying to analyze everything, and we're not attached to anything.
I don't know why everything's posting up twice in my chat. I don't know if it is for you guys or not. Here it's showing that I posted that twice. I apologize. Which also means my PayPal link would have posted twice in a row, which my haters are just going to love. So there are people that were around for that are in the chat sometimes, Ken.
They're simply now light holders for those who are walking the path. And again, now we may shift into a totally new phase. So
Yay!
That is right now the path of the ascension.
But we don't know the phase after this phase. So how would we know? So if we move to another phase, Aurora, then we're really going to be fucking lost. Because you don't even know what comes after mastery. Now you're telling me that this whole first ascension phase, we might just move on from? Right into the unknown? What if you're only on step 1 of this thing? Not ready.
And more phases will unfold as we keep, evolving and unfolding. But for many of you, I feel understanding the different stages so that we can understand how the flow of the awakening is supposed to go.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Because what we're seeing is that a lot of the waivers
it's just me over here
getting stuck at various stages and not.
Sometimes StreamYard hates us creators. They're like, we're just gonna fuck with you.
Actually progressing on to the next stage.
Again,
so
we don't know.
There are going to be a lot of catalysts and a lot of just different.
Here's my thing though. What happens when that happens? And then you don't even know what that stage is. Is she even in the mastery stage? She's here teaching these. And I don't know what stage she's in. She better be in at least the mastery stage if she's teaching it, right? She's supposed to go, is she not going through the same journey as us? I'm just wondering.
Different experiences for each one of us uniquely that pushes us into the next phase. But it's good to just have the understanding of that's kind of the flow of it. And
that's the only thing you can explain about it is the flow of it. Because it's so generalized so that it can apply to anyone at any time, no matter what.
We can't skip steps and we can't jump phases.
And that's why I'm kind of like, I hope you're on the last one. Right? Because technically, based on how you also just described them all to us and how we've read about them and everything, right? You're not supposed to really be teaching things until the last couple. Until you're like helping people and whatnot. So you better be like at the end of this. Like, I hope you've reached highest consciousness. So shouldn't you know what comes after mastery? If it's the next one you're on? I feel like there's too much unknown here.
And they all eventually kind of blend into one, which is just our organic state of being. So no matter where you are in those stages, it's also not a rush. But I feel it's just important for us all to kind of understand that flow so that if we do feel we're getting stagnant or we do feel like all of a sudden things are just not working the way they used to. You know, we're kind of hitting.
So we're just going on feelings for the whole thing then. Let your feelings guide the way.
That wall or that plateau, that it might be time that we feel into the evolution.
But again, in the second phase, you said it's hard and you're working on yourself. So you never explain to people what the difference is between struggling through something and then feeling stagnant or feeling like they've plateaued in a phase or they're on that stupid loop or whatever. So it's a weird cult where they're like, here, we'll tell you what to do and we'll guide you, but it's up to you to figure it out.
To the next stage, and that this is typically a very organic thing, but I think sometimes we miss the catalyst, or we miss the events that are actually meant to, you know, evolutionize us to the next phase, and we kind of miss the point of them, and we don't really get it, and we keep trying to do the same things we did before, and it no longer works because we've expanded, and so now we have to expand into a new level. So also helpful to understand how all the deep sleepers are going to progress through these stages. These stages are not necessarily linear, but they just tend to happen.
Hold, wait a minute. What do you mean they're not? Okay, so they're not linear, but we can't jump them. Okay, Aurora, you explain.
In that way, because it's really hard for someone to, let's say, jump into the stage of service to others when they haven't done the inner work, because serving others, and there's, you know, so many amazing things that
So wait, can we jump then? We just can't jump like 2 at a time? Like, what do you mean, Aurora?
Humans are doing to help others and to help humanity.
She's gonna make me go full Maleficent if she doesn't explain this better now.
But without the inner work being done, the frequency of that service is different. And
what?
So the frequency of that service.
If you can't jump phases, Jesus Christ, woman. If you can't jump phases, then that means you wouldn't get to that phase until all the inner work is done. So I'm confused.
Is not the highest that it could be.
I guess grab your motorbike, Thomas.
Prior to
and a few ramps
doing that service, right? So the best example I have of that is that there's a lot of people who they want to help others.
Okay.
And, you know, which we all do innately, but they really want to help others and be in service. But they may be on surface level things like, oh, I want to save the ocean, you know, or I want to save the animals, or I want to assist people in poverty. All of those are great ideas, but without the inner work being done, that can easily turn into belief systems, that can easily turn into savior programming.
What?
It can easily turn into guilt.
Listen, we can't have you. If you're in our 5D full disclosure cult, we can't have you out here wanting to save the orcas. All right? Because if you want to save the orcas, that's going to put you under the belief system that whales are fucking cool and shit. And we can't have you have that belief system. All right? Then you might want to go to SeaWorld and free Shamu. We just can't have it. We can't have that. That's a bad belief system to have. So that's a nice idea and everything. Saving animals, nice idea. But we're going to need you to make it more personal and about our cult.
Like, we're actually doing this service out of guilt rather than empowerment. There's so many energetics at play. So that's why it's not necessarily linear, but it does tend to flow that way of
I still have no clue how the fuck it's not linear. but you can't jump it. And then how she's explaining how you can jump it. She mind fucked me. She mind fucked me as if she has a dong the size of Ron Jeremy's. I really don't understand what's happening right now.
Information, inner work, service, mastery. Because if we typically go out of that order, we're going to not be able to.
Am I fucking insane? She literally, like, you said we can't go on to the next step. Like, actually, fully go on to the next one unless we finish the last one. You said it's a step-by-step process, basically. You got to finish step 1 before you go to step 2. Then you literally said you cannot just jump around steps. But then you turn around and you're like, but it's not really linear. And you can kind of jump around a little bit. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, this makes no sense.
Complete those stages in the highest capacity. So, and again, these may come back around at different times in your journey. So that can happen where you go through the different cycles.
Okay, so then you can't just scratch the whole part where she said that you won't be jumping around between the phases. Apparently, that's exactly what you're going to be doing the whole time. They'll just be popping up. Like, you'll be on phase 3, and phase 1 will still be over here going, yo, you gotta learn about this now. Now you gotta learn about this. And phase 2 will be over here like, hey, remember that trauma from 10 years ago? We never unpacked that baggage. I guess you're just jumping all over the place. Just don't come jump on my kid's bed because she'll tell you not to because the legs are wooden and you can break them.
But each cycle is unique and each cycle is meant to kind of bring us to a higher level of embodiment. So for those of you we're all in different stages, and that's okay.
And I believe high level of embodiment is the same as to the highest consciousness. I know it gets described as 2 different things, and technically those are 2 very different things, but to her they're the same thing here.
No rush, and it also now can make more sense of why we can't push others into a stage faster than they're ready, right? Because that would essentially, they would have.
So again, how the fuck are you jumping if you don't move as to? I always end up leaving these with more questions than when I started them. You would think that when you watch something, your questions would be answered. Not when it comes to the things I cover, though. My coverage, you think you know what's going on, and then as you're watching, you go, now I'm becoming more fucking confused because I thought I understood everything. But now she's not making any sense when she's explaining it.
To go back and repeat things. So every soul knows the divine timing of when they're ready to pass on to the next phase and the next phase. And this is why we have different waves of consciousness. It's to balance it all out so that we're not all in the same phase at the same time. Because that would be challenging if there was no one on the next stage to kind of set that foundation for more to move into. So right now, a lot of the first waivers are in the mastery phase.
Now we've got different waves, just like in feminism.
Basically, just we're trying to master the unknown, the present moment of now. Purely being in the present moment of now, with no belief systems, with no duality.
Okay, so is that the phase after mastery, or are you in mastery and you just told us that? Because it sounds like you were trying to make it seem like you were in the phase after it in the unknown area that you just spoke of a few seconds ago, or moments ago, I guess it would be now. But the way that you said that and then went on to further explain it, you described the mastery phase. So now I'm confused as to where you are on your journey, Aurora. I'm just trying to learn about you.
Not acting from the mind, but acting from the heart in order to solidify and kind of set that foundation for the rest of the waivers who are looking to now move up. And because the more of us who exist in that frequency of the pure present moment now, the more seamless the transition to New Earth can be, especially as Mother Earth is going to go through, you know, a little bit of ups and downs
Wait,
and
that's
ebbs
the
and
New
flows
Earth.
with her journey of healing, and we're all moving with her. And so sometimes this is going to feel like it's moving faster than we can keep up with, and then other times it's going to feel like it's moving so slow, and that's all just the balance of the ebbs and the flows, because Gaia herself knows the consciousness, and she knows when to speed up and when to slow down. That's the natural rhythm of the universe, of the creator, that, you know, the earth intrinsically knows. So we just have to trust the timing of Mother Earth, and we have to trust the timing of ourselves and our DNA, and know when it's time and we get activated and we expand, it's the perfect time. So if things feel slower sometimes and you wish they would speed up, keep trusting the divine timing. If there's moments where it feels like it's moving faster than you can keep up with, that's also divine. So thank you guys for sharing with what resonates with you. For those looking for more resources to kind of help you on your journey wherever you're at in the stages, please check out our home website at 5dfulldisclosure.org on the library tab.
Yeah,
And
check
there's plenty
it
of resources
out.
to help you with wherever you're at in terms
Do our course for $33 a session.
of stages. And anybody who's looking for more one-on-one and personal help and guidance, you can always book a session with us. I love you guys, and I will be back soon.
Yeah, she loves us, and she'll be back soon, she says. So that was Aurora explaining Ascension to us. And again, she is right now the head of the 5D full disclosure cult. She's no longer just the head honcho girl. No. Excuse me. She's the full head. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, Queen, I don't really know what to do. Like, what do I do in order to do this ascension? That's okay. Because that same guy we read at the beginning of this, they actually tell you some steps that you can take. Yes, that you can take in order to start off your ascension. Several different techniques. All right, so if you're still a little bit confused about how to go on your ascension journey, I got you, boo. I got you. A female earth goddess named Gaia. Good one. It's like, that's what Selena should have called herself. I like the old earth. Me too. Calgon, take me away. Hugh, no, this isn't about singing Hugh, Joe. Wrong cult. So, techniques for your ascension. If you are feeling that your energy is being drained, or you are feeling the energetic impact of another, breathe into the chest and heart space, allowing your awareness and consciousness to travel down and into the heart, remaining clear in thought and present in the moment of now. Speak aloud. I command all energetic taking to stop. I command all my atoms to be in right action. I return all energy, this is not mine, back to sender. Like you're putting that bitch in the mail, all right? Signed, sealed, delivered, not yours. If you are experiencing other people coming regularly into your thoughts and negative feelings such as guilt or shame associated with them, right? This is the product of attachment. Oh no, remember, you don't want to stay too attached to anything, apparently, in this cult. The divine state is non-attached, holding unconditional love for all, regardless of perceived feelings. Cutting cords is an important feature of shedding attachments. Breathe into the chest and heart space, allowing your awareness and consciousness to travel down and into the heart, remaining clear in thought and present in the moment of now. Speak aloud. I cut cords with everything that is not pure, true, whole, and in resonance with love. I cut cords with... Speak any of these people's names aloud. I reattach cords with everything that is pure, whole, true, in resonance with love, with magical moments and synchronistic events. And you're like, Queen, that sounds a lot like magic. And I'm like, I know, doesn't it? Cords should be cut daily. The I am technique. I guess this technique has a name. The other one's not so much. Spend 10 minutes each day. All right, remember this call doesn't take up too much of your time, though. Just go to their sessions, read all their books, and do these exercises and spend 10 minutes each day completing I am affirmations in the mirror whilst looking into your own eyes. Have you ever sat and looked into your own eyes in the mirror, by the way? It's not fun to just stare into your own eyes. If only this would work with the IRS and debt collectors. If only. 10 minutes is a very long time. I'm like, most people can look at themselves and look into their eyes in the mirror just fine. But I don't think... Go do it for 10 minutes. Like, I know that doesn't sound like a long time, but it is a very long time to be just staring into your own eyes in the mirror and talking to yourself. I promise you. Go and try to stare into your eyes in the mirror for 10 minutes. Almost guaranteed you won't be able to do it. Because it's bizarre. No matter how much you love yourself, by the way. Affirmations can include, I am love. I am wise. I am joy. I am peace. I am courage. I am happy. I am brave. I am compassionate. I am integrity. I am secure. I am passion. It is advised to say one affirmation, such as, I am love, at least 10 times. 10 times. Or until you see and feel a visible difference in your energy. Dr. Emoto, and you're like, who's that? Same. Conducting extensive water consciousness research, discovering that water has consciousness. Water labeled love produced snowflake crystalline structures, whereas water labeled hate produced a fractured splash structure. We are 70% water, which again, that's wrong. We've proven that wrong. Therefore, the thoughts we think dictate the cellular structure of our very bodies. The last one. Eliminate low vibration vocabulary. I can't speak. I have an awful vocabulary. An extensive amount of vocabulary that we use is merely a product of the mind and is therefore a low frequency. Basically, everything that they don't want you to believe in or that they think will stop you from being brainwashed into this thing, it's all low frequency. Just think of it like that. Then you'll understand most of this stuff more because literally that's what it is. Vocabulary to remove include how to do censorship to people 101, They got this from Marxism. Wants, needs, and desires are of the mind. Love just is. It does not want, need, or desire anything. I want, I need, I desire. Upgrade to I have, I am, I think. Imagine like you're hungry. You're like, damn, I really want a poutine right now. So you're like, I want a poutine. And then, your significant other is in the car. They're like, listen, all right, you're supposed to be doing the cellular structure stuff for your brain. All right, changing the vocabulary and all that shit for our ascension and whatnot. You don't want poutine. You are poutine. It's just a fun thing to think about. You can't do that with everything, was my point. Upgrade to I feel, remind. Upgrade to re-heart. And I'm like, okay, so we upgrade I think to I feel. Okay? And remind, we upgrade to re-heart. Now you understand that sentence, right? It took me 3 times reading that the first time to actually fucking figure. I was like, what? Wait, what? What is happening? Oh, okay, I get it now. Discussions of the past and daydreaming about the future prevent us from living in the present moment of now. In true reality, the present moment of now is all that exists. An all-knowing, all-feeling state of pure love. And that is how you can work on your ascension. Every single day for 10 minutes, just stare into your eyes in the mirror and do this shit. I'd rather sing you. I think I might too. Yeah, because everyone loves to being censored, right? Right? I just think it's funny. I am woman, hear me roar. I am full of shit. Yeah, that might as well be the one. You know? And then you say, I am poutine. Yes, I am poutine. It is the Canadian within me. But, I mean, really, positive affirmations aren't the worst thing, okay? In therapy, they also teach you to do them. It's just the way that they do them is always so manipulative and weird. And it's all for brainwashing purposes. It's not for you to, think better of yourself, to fix your self-esteem issues or anything like that. It's just for you to brainwash yourself. This whole thing is just a guide, like I said, on how to break yourself down and all your belief systems and everything that you knew, right? Your truth, as they say. And then just take on what they're telling you to believe in and all their cult stuff. So, again, that is how Ascension is explained. So, we just went through how you would learn about this if you joined this cult. Between reading the books, between watching this video now at their 5D University, I think about that and I'm like, how would they get new members? Maybe it's just me, because I'm really cynical about this stuff, especially now, because of who I am and what my channel's about. But I didn't really find it too intriguing or anything that I haven't already heard in terms of personal development, hoopla, especially in hustle culture today. And I was just kind of like, it's a bullshit belief system. I think we've proven that much. But also I'm kind of like, this is what you guys are using to hook people? Because this thing's still growing, which is kind of weird. But there are lots and lots of people that believe in this 5D stuff. And like I said, it's not just attached to Love Has Won. And a lot of the same beliefs with it carry through. What Love Has Won did is they took the 5D belief system, that like the general one that a lot of people believe in, and then they twisted and turned it to add their culty shit to it and their mother god belief and all that to it, right? So that it had more to do with that than what everyone else believes in with it, because there's a few different things, the other belief systems surrounding it, if you will. So I find it interesting. But I think what we're going to do
is we're going to, in future, be going through some of their other teachings. They have quite a few, and a couple of their literature is quite worrisome. And I think that now that we have a very good understanding of who they are, what they believe in, what they're about, especially if you've watched all of my content on it from Love is One to Joy Reigns to this, you then have very, very good knowledge over the main belief system, how it came to be, who all the main players are, etc. Now I think we need to really dive in to what are the things that they are truly teaching people. Get a little deeper, you know. This is a deep dive. We're just chipping away at it, if you will. So that is all I have for you today. That is kind of the wrap up of the Ascension guide and the Ascension process. I feel like reading through that guide and watching this stream from today, like I said, gives you a really great understanding of not only the whole Ascension process, but also a basis for what belief system they kind of took from Love Has Won and put into their 5D full disclosure in terms of how the earth was made, in terms of like Mother God and all the people she came back as, you know, and everything. You have a good basis for what this is about. Now it's time we're going to dive a little bit deeper. So stay tuned in future. I will be setting up those streams and I will be sharing them probably over the weekend. And then you will find out what we are doing. I'm not 100% sure yet. I have a couple different ideas and I'm going to figure out which one is going to be more funny, and we're going to do that one. I hope all of you have a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous day, and that you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for being here, especially to those of you that have been here for the whole stream and my replay crew who watched the whole stream. I appreciate you. And no matter where you are or what you're doing, I'm going to find you with another stream really soon. Like I said, look out for it and have a good one. See you soon with another one. Bye! And remember, don't join this thing. It is a fucking cult. And this Aurora bitch is anti-Semitic. I mean, you guys called it. It was there.